Welcome to the Being Blackbeard podcast, a show for pirate geeks and TV fans about the show Crossbones. Here are your hosts, Phil Johnson, Tony Diemco, and Richard Dreiling.
All right, turn it up, swashbucklers. You're listening to the Being Blackbeard podcast, episode number 6. I am your host, Phil Johnson, and with me tonight are my co-hosts, Richard Dreiling.
Hey.
And Tony Diemco.
Hello, my pirate friends.
Yay, everybody's in the crew tonight. All right. So, in this show, if you're a new listener, we talk about the NBC show Crossbones, starring John Malkovich. And tonight we'll be talking about episode number 5 called The Return. We're on episode number 6. The show is on episode number 5. And I hope nobody was confused by our last farcical episode that Tony and I did last week. But it did get quite a few downloads, so I was happy to see that, and we got to mess around a little bit. And also, thank you to all of our new listeners. We got a lot of new subscribers. We got nice reviews on iTunes. We appreciate you guys, and keep listening, keep downloading, tell your friends, and keep leaving those reviews. You can also now find us on Stitcher. If you're a Stitcher listener, you can find us on there as well. So let's dig into the episode here. This is Crossbones episode 5 called The Return. For obvious reasons, this title is not a mystery at all because this is the one where Lo gets to go back to, where's he go? Jamaica is where headquarters is it not?
Yes.
All right. So he goes back to talk to Jagger. Still not Mick Jagger. I so wish it was Mick Jagger. That would be way more fun. And I think he would do a great job at it. Okay, so anyway, he goes back to tell Jagger about all the whole pirate island he's found there, under the pretense that he's going back to get some sort of drill to drill into Blackbeard's head to stop the hallucinations. And that, what was that drill thing called? Does anybody remember?
No. I don't even know if it's a real drill that exists or not. Like, I didn't check that up. I probably should have.
Oh, it's a trephine. I actually wrote it down here. Yeah, now that's a good question, whether or not it's actually real. But he does pick up a trephine, whatever that is, because as he's hauling ass out of town there after he knocks out Jagger, he runs up to that little stall and goes, "I need a trephine and some bandages." So it's a real thing. Who knows what it actually does, but it's a real thing. So what did you guys think of the episode?
With the last 2 episodes, I felt the show has just been getting better and better. There was this point prior to the last 2 episodes where I thought it had gotten a little stale. Not necessarily stale, but they were just trying to figure out where they were going. But the last 2 episodes have kind of reminded me why I fell in love with the series from the get-go. Last week was really good, and the episode from last Friday I just thought was absolutely fantastic, and it's just gotten back to the strength of the series, and I'm sort of rejuvenated by what I've seen in the last 2 episodes.
Well, what did you think? I'm sorry, go ahead, Rich.
I was just going to say, I think it's finally finding its voice. We're figuring out more about some of the side characters, and that's really awesome. They're getting a little bit more. They're becoming 3-dimensional characters now instead of just kind of like archetypes that they were in the first few episodes. I'm really excited about where it's going. I think it like I said, it finally found its voice, and I can't wait to see next episode, man.
I absolutely agree. I think it's really totally back on base of where the series initially started, and again, going back to why I fell in love with the series from the get-go, the language and the writing of it just seems so top-notch, and I so wish the show would take off and get the fan base that it absolutely deserves, because the writing is really incredible. I cannot say enough about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think what do you think was different about the last episode or 2 that was lacking for you guys in the couple of previous episodes that maybe wasn't happening?
Well, first of all, what Rich was talking about, they're delving more into the side characters and building them up and making them smart and clever enough that people who tuned into the first episode can get into. And also, it's gotten back into the language of the writing. And I know I seem to emphasize this every week, and I don't mean to sound totally dramatic, but there's almost a Shakespearean quality about the writing, how smart it is, how clever it is. When the show is really on top of its game, and again, this is going to sound totally dramatic, but it almost sounds like poetry to me, how clever and intent they are on the writing and the words they choose. And to me, the last two episodes, especially this previous episode, has really got back on top of that. And I just love it for that alone.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing that I've noticed, in the first, that original episode, that pilot, kind of starts, it's a really harried introduction. Like, it comes at you really quick, and a lot happens. And then in the second and third episodes, you kind of, it goes after, like, the low storyline a little bit with her, but then there's still, like, this tension of, like, okay, where's this series going? And now, like, it's kind of, in that first and second, and even the third episode, I think, you still have this illusion that, like, the British Empire are the good guys, and it's kind of like, it seems like a black and white world at the beginning, like pirates are bad, the redcoats are good, and then, as we've continued on with this character, I can't remember his name anymore, the dude that sent Lo out.
Tiger.
Yeah, I really want him to get got. Like, all I really care is, like, I want him to die. The guy who's, like, torturing people. Like, after that, you start to think, like, well, maybe Blackbeard's not the worst guy in the world, because, this dude, like, how many women has he tortured now? Like, I mean, that's kind of something, if you want to make somebody bad in a movie, you just have them beat up on women.
No, absolutely.
Repeatedly beat up on women. Like, I want to see him die a painful death, like, straight up.
Absolutely. Julian Sands, who I'm a huge fan of, he's a brilliant actor, comes on very strong in the very pilot episode, and then they've been kind of playing him along in the rest of the series. But in the last 2 to 3 to 4 episodes, he's become a bigger antagonist. And part of me is, this may sound like a punchline, but I would like him to walk on with I got the moves like Jagger. That would be great if they would just put that into the series. Wouldn't that just totally change the idea of how you're looking at this series? And it would be awesome. But in all seriousness, he's a great actor, and he's a great villain. But I like the fact that they didn't set him up as the villain; that they let the series play along, and now you're getting to see what a horrible badass he is. So it makes you want to cheer for Blackbeard and for Lowell and for the other side. And they really built it up really well to be on the side of the pirates.
Yeah, I think, definitely. And I think what we're going to see, because they are setting it up so that the pirates are very sympathetic at this point, I think we're going to see a reversal of that fortune in maybe not the next episode, but probably the 2 after that, and as we push into episode 10, because Blackbeard still has this plan to take the big exploding boat to blow up Jamaica. And I think there's going to be a little bit of we're going to get a little bit of evil into the Blackbeard. So it may turn out that he's still going to be sympathetic, but I think it's not going to be even as black and white as it looks like right now.
Well, it's weird. Like, the thing that, we've heard all this stuff about Blackbeard, like, he wants to kill for the sheer will or pleasure of causing havoc or whatever. But I don't see that. Like, I don't know. Like, I would be surprised, kind of, if it took that direction. Because I just don't see that character doing it. Like, I mean, yeah, he wants to kill, like, he has no problem, like, wantonly killing people when they cross him, but I haven't seen anything yet to justify, like, oh, well, we're just going to kill, like Jagger was doing or whatever, where he was, like, where he had them, was going to come kill everyone on the island. We haven't seen Blackbeard do something like that. Like, he's wanted people to live and stuff. I would be surprised if it went that direction, to be frank.
And I totally agree. But I think also with the last clip that they showed in the last episode, where they showed sort of a flashback to true Blackbeard, where he has hair and a black beard, for lack of a better term. I think they're going to cut back and forth to kind of remind you of why Blackbeard is such a villain. But I love the idea of them not making it anybody in the series to be good guys or bad guys. They really, I think they're really trying to balance the back and forth to see here's the pluses of some guys, here's the minuses of some guys, and finding that balance in the story and in the characterization, so you're not all in with one character or another, but just letting it develop and making sense in the whole story.
Yeah.
Where there's not clear-cut villains and heroes, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's shades of gray, but there aren't 50 of them, thank God.
Yet.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you guys. I don't think we're gonna see Blackbeard kill in a cold-blooded. I don't think we're gonna see him kill for no reason. I think he's always gonna have a motivation that looks real on the surface, it may be something that turns out to be very real to him, and the rest of us kind of go, well, I don't know, that's a little bit shady. But yeah, I don't think he's just gonna go, psycho. I don't think he's gonna go postal on anybody.
I do have to say this. I gotta say, like, one thing I really enjoy about the series so far is like there was that conversation between Jagger and Lowe, where he was like, who are you to say, like, I know the horrible things that you've done. And I think I really like that this series makes the characters deal with the emotional and spiritual ramifications of killing people. A lot of, like, TV out there, it really bothers me because you'll have people just, like, running around, just, like, wantonly killing, like any Michael Bay movie ever. You just, like, killing, and they don't even give, like, a second pause. And I'm not saying that people won't just like pull the trigger, but they do have to deal with that. They have to look themselves in the mirror, and it's good to have, see the complexity of characters dealing with those types of issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I've always said that, there's nothing has done more damage to this world than superhero movies. Because they destroy everything.
Well, except for, Hitler, Stalin, but...
let's not take anything away from superhero movies. And I'm a
Genghis Khan.
But there's no. What I love about this series is that there's no Jack Bauer, who's just killing for the sake of killing because I'm good and they're bad. What I love about great storytelling is that the heroes are complex and the villains are complex, and you can side with the heroes, but you can kind of make sense of the villains. A perfect example of this for me, just growing up in comic books, but also in recent movies, is the X-Men movies. You can understand where Professor X is coming from, but you can kind of also understand where Magneto is coming from.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think this series kind of makes sense of that as compared to a Die Hard, for example.
Did you guys see the preview for that new Planet of the Apes movie?
No, I don't think I did.
No? Well, it's really weird because if you just watch the preview, you can kind of see, like, there's two main characters. I'm guessing they're going to be the protagonists who want peace. And then you have these other, like, war hawks on either side. And there's, like, one scene where, like, this ape is, like, coming up to a checkpoint, and he pretends to be, like, a funny ape. And I'm not going to say how it ends, but it really, like, begs the question, right? What would you do in that situation where, like, you're not really sure if this person's the enemy or not? So would you pull the trigger or wouldn't you? And those are, I think they're issues that people should kind of deal with in their head, like, to realize and appreciate, the good things that we have. Like, dude, we're doing a podcast over computers about a TV show, and, like, the Ukraine is getting bombed and Israel's getting rocketed right now. I gotta say, I just want people to be, like, thankful for the shit we have. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And way to bring it down, Rich.
Yeah, sorry. Joke. right?
So you're saying we should do a podcast next week about the Ukraine. I get you.
You guys can check out my podcast at depressingtimes.com. Doesn'tTheWorldSuck.com.
No, I definitely agree though, and I think it's a very modern sort of storytelling. I mean, even 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have the complex characters that we do now. I mean, we had Die Hard and things like that, where it was here's the good guy and here's the bad guy, and that's been hundreds of years that it's been like that. So it's really just in the last 15 or 20 years that we've really dived into these sort of complex shades of gray type of characters, which I think is
except
cool.
Magnum PI.
I suppose. So.
Sorry, I'm watching that series right now. And I'm in love with it. It's awesome.
No, I understand. If you go back to Manimal,
oh, now we're just
very complex character.
Dude,
So,
look, most complex character ever was Tom Selleck's mustache. Okay. Oh, this shit's gotten off the rails. I'm sorry, guys.
No. It's fantastic because that's really what it comes down to is good storytelling. And if you want to go back to the ancient history, if you want to go back to even a more recent history in the last 40 years of Star Wars, you want a hero that is struggling to make a good point. And you need a good antagonist like a Darth Vader. And by no means am I putting Crossbones in that spectrum, even though it's a fantastic series. But good storytelling comes down to a villain you can believe in and a hero you can believe in.
Yeah.
Whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Batman and the Joker, what have you. That's what makes good storytelling.
And that's why The Counselor was a piece of shit. It's a horrible movie. If you haven't seen it, don't, man. Don't. Hey, Phil, what did you think of the Nena storyline in this one? They kind of elaborated on.
Yeah, I was actually just about to bring that up. I thought it was interesting because now we can see that she's actually maybe not as invested in the whole project as everybody thinks she is, since she's trying to get out and buy a house. Strangely, I was like, yeah, buy a house. That's a good investment. I was just like, I feel you, sister. And so I mean, we find out that she's probably stealing loot from the other pirates and squirreling it away, so that she can go buy this pad in the south. And she's buying a plantation, which is a little bit weird, because remember the guy was like, well, you'll have to have a white man run it for you and things like that, which has implications that there will be slaves working in her fields, which I maybe that's stretching the point a little bit, but I thought it was interesting that she's not into the whole idea as much as everybody thinks she is, and obviously Rose has figured that out, and that's why she's blackmailing her for a part of the loot there.
No, but I will also add that I love that element that they were really placing the history of the time into the story, which I found absolutely fascinating, that they were like, all right, let's go all in. And if you go back to previous episodes of this podcast, I've always wanted the story to go all in, and I really think this last couple of episodes have really gone all in as far as what they want to tell and being true to the history of the time. And as uncomfortable as as watching this, I thought it was absolutely awesome that they brought it up and were talking about it in the actual episode.
I agree completely. I'm so glad that they brought it up, because before, I don't know, I mean, they didn't address it, and when they didn't address it, it seemed like they were just taking like a modern view of the race and gender relations at the time, Yeah,
that's true. They hadn't really brought up anything about any race issues at all, and there were certainly plenty of them. But then that also plays off the pirate crew as this very liberal, integrated type of society, where they're trying to lean us in the direction of they're the good guys and England's the bad guys.
Right.
Yeah, and going back to other episodes, it would have seemed a little too politically correct. But in the last couple, I really feel like they've, in the dialogue and in the interaction, they've established that it just sort of makes sense because of all the dealings that they have going on with amongst the pirates. That it would make sense that they would talk about this and have this sort of natural interaction, not sort of political correctness, but just in the nature of simply being.
Like dealing with people like people rather than like, oh, she's this kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they explained how she's going to get the rest of the money for the plantation, or if they just kind of left that part hanging.
I think they did. They left it hanging, and then that's going to be probably part of her arc in upcoming episodes, I'm guessing.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad to see her part coming in, and Isengrim is coming in a little bit more. It looks like he's going to be more in the upcoming episodes, and the whatever is going on between Nenna and Rose, and even Selima went outside to this week, which was interesting.
Yeah, I think that what's his name, the cool guy with the funky ears, Isengrim. He's gonna end up like, I'm pretty sure. I mean, can I go ahead? I would put money on this. I'm gonna go ahead and just conjecture something.
Okay.
It may be a spoiler if I'm as good as I think I am, but my wife always calls me a retard, so maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, we're not politically correct in my house. No, I'm just kidding. Only against handicapped people. All right, here we go. I think he's going to be the one who figures out what she's doing, what Nenna's doing.
Yeah, I think that's a good call because he did. He was the one to peek in on their little conversation there. So I think that was definitely a little bit of foreshadowing on that one.
Yeah, and he definitely brought with him like a sense of foreboding. I was like, dude, like this is going to get good.
Well, it looks like, I mean, from the preview of next week's episode, he gets to be the executioner when they catch Lo. Somebody was getting their head chopped off. I think it was Lo.
I didn't even. Yeah.
I don't think it's actually going to happen that way, but that's what they were implying. But yeah, I think Isengrim gets to be the executioner in that. So he's definitely going to be happening in some of the upcoming episodes. And yeah.
Remember we were talking about the IMDb page where they were like, I was complaining that Lo only had like 4 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It keeps every week. It updates and like they admit that Lo's going to be in another episode.
All right. Well, now we know that's not a prediction tool. Yeah. That's good to know.
Yep. That's some good media strategy right there, man.
Yeah, It actually is. That is. Definitely. So I have to say my favorite line out of this whole episode was, the jolly stick is like a compass. It'll always guide the man home. Did you guys catch that one?
I did not. I didn't catch that one.
It was when Lo was talking to Blackbeard, and he said he's going off to Jamaica and whatever, and Blackbeard basically implied, like, I know you still have the hots for Kate, and he says, yeah, he says the jolly stick is like a compass; it'll always guide the man home. And I was like, I just heard jolly stick on NBC. That's fantastic.
That is awesome. It falls into that Patton Oswalt joke where he's like, sometimes the things that are clean for TV are way worse than the things that you would actually say in like a rated R show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Next time I have to do a clean gig, I'm going to use the word jolly stick. I'm going to do jolly stick jokes.
That's actually my new Twitter handle. At jolly stick, Tony Diomco.
Just follow a bunch of porn stars. That'll be brilliant.
There you go. You know what? Actually, my favorite scene was in this one was when Lo dives off the cliff. He has that really awkward cliff dive, and the blood spreads out in the water. I thought that was a really great effect.
I thought he was going to get eaten by a shark. That would have been a hilarious end to the episode.
That would explain why he only has 5 episodes on IMDb.
But yeah, I just thought that was a really cool effect. I was like, all right, that's a nice detail to throw in there.
Did him and Kate bone in this one?
No, I think they just kissed at the beginning.
Yeah,
it's definitely firing up again.
Yeah, but she's like, her husband just went through all those opium withdrawals and shit. Like, he's like, look, my dick works again. Check it out. And she's like, oh, I've already had that hole filled.
Well, that was an eclipse for next week's episode, which is kind of weird, and I felt uncomfortable about it. But
no, it's just so like, the cuckold thing. It's just so uncomfortable.
Well, I think that's ultimately what they're going for, especially with Kate's relationship with her husband, and it's again, it's what they're going for, and they're creating so much balance between these characters, which makes it struggling, but it also makes it absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I think what they're gonna do is it's going to be Team Tom versus Team James, and then one's going to turn into a vampire, other one's going to turn into a werewolf, bada bing, bada boom. And then this series will go on forever.
They all sparkle. Yeah, they all sparkle.
Yes. They all sparkle.
All right, guys.
I hope that's how it turns out, because that would be absolutely awesome.
That would be so funny. And then it's going to turn out that John Malkovich was the original vampire. Like Blackbeard was the original vampire.
Damn, I hope that's how it turns out, because otherwise I'm going to be disappointed.
I will cancel this podcast if that happens. All right, guys. Well, why don't we tie this up with some plugs here? Rich, where are you going to be this week?
Let's see. Well, this is probably going to go up. Well, I'll be at Throckmorton at Mark Pitta and Friends on the 15th. I'm not sure if this will be up by then.
It will.
And sweet. And then I'll be at Sip Bar in SF on the 16th. And then I'm going to see Les Miserables on the 17th. What's up? Oh, and at Rich Dreiling on Twitter. That's DREYLING for lame jokes, NFL commentary, and I don't know, whatever else I post on there.
All right. Tony, where are you at?
Well, when Rich goes to see Les Miserables, we'll actually be playing Les Jean on stage.
That's all.
You can follow me at Twitter, on Twitter at TonyDiamco.com, TonyDijamco. I will be at the Punchline on July 29th, recording my new CD, which would be awesome if you can all follow me. And just keep following me, and that would be great times.
Excellent. Cool. I will be, this Thursday the 17th, I'll be at the Blue Lagoon in Santa Cruz. Sunday the 20th, I'm going to be at the Supper Club in San Francisco. And Tuesday the 22nd, I am headlining a show at Agave Mexican Restaurant in San Jose because I am that cool. And,
awesome.
I know, Mexican food and me, it's too much. Then July 31st through August 2nd, I will be headlining Mark Ridley's Comedy Club in just outside of Detroit, Michigan, which ought to be a fun time. So thank you, everybody, again for listening. Please tell your friends, leave us those nice comments on iTunes and Stitcher, and we will see you next week. And please visit the website, beingblackbeard.com. See you next time. Thanks.
You've been listening to the Being Blackbeard podcast. Visit us at beingblackbeard.com and be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Arrgh!